In today's video, I show you the Unchained game's DeckMaster STL files. But before we get into today's video, just want to share with you what the GGGGs are for this month. Each month, Bob the Beholder picks some of my Patreon supporters to receive gratitude gifts. And for this month of October of 2024, we have a pledge for the Vrahode Kickstarter. We have these printed villains from the Shadow Curse Kickstarter. Finally, we have $100 going towards the Into the Dark Dungeon Silver Mine Kickstarter. Go ahead and use the link below to go to my Patreon page where you can find out how you can get in on the chance of being chosen by Bob for one of these gratitude gifts. It only takes $1. So maybe 2 months ago or so, I did pledge for this Kickstarter and got a pretty good deal. 10 different STL files of these deck holders for only about 20 euros, which is about $22 US. And if you missed the Kickstarter, go ahead and use the link below because you can go ahead and purchase these files. Of course, you're not going to get as good of a deal as I did with the Kickstarter pledge, but it's about $7 for each of the files, which overall, I think you don't need all 10. You can sort of just mix and match the ones that you need. Now here I printed out 4 different ones just because I wanted to get a little bit of a flavor of what the files are like, and currently I am using these 4 in my Primal the Awakening game campaign that we have been going through. If you haven't seen my review video for that game, go ahead and check it out here, but I really like that game a lot and we have been having a lot of fun. Just have 2 more sessions before we complete our first campaign through. Just to get the technical things aside, each one of these will hold sleeved cards. Here's an example of unsleeved cards. This is just a random game deck that I pulled up. I can't even remember what name the game is for, but as you can see, there's a good number, probably about 60 cards of standard size Magic the Gathering or Pokemon size decks, and fits really nicely here. Also fits sleeve cards, so if you're worried about whether or not sleeve cards will fit. Now, the sleeves that I use on my standard cards are pretty snug, so if you're going to go for bigger sleeves, I would suggest maybe increasing the size of these by 3 to 5%. Go ahead and test print something just to make sure that your sleeve cards are going to fit. But I still have some leeway even with the sleeve cards, and they seem to be working fine. Now you might be asking, what if your deck is a lot thicker than what you see here? And these sleeve cards, about 25 here, fit really nicely. Could probably have another 10 or 15 more on top of here. But they do have an extender that you can print out, and it just attaches right on top. It's universal, will fit on any one of these, and that will extend the deck out to maybe triple the number of cards that these can originally hold. Obviously, I don't need that many cards that I'm pulling from these, so I didn't end up printing out that extender. And these look great on the board. Of course, you don't absolutely need this, and they do take up a little bit more space than a standard deck holder because they do have designs, but I think it's worth it just to have that extra bling on your table. So really like these a lot. I think they print out really smoothly and nicely. These are all printed at 0.2 millimeter height on my filament printer at 5% infill just to save up on printing costs. And I think they turned out really well with plenty of detail. And I did paint it up with my craft paints. If you haven't seen my video about how to use craft paints to paint up your terrain or your miniatures, go ahead and check that out here. But for large pieces like this, I don't waste my more expensive miniature paints, but instead I use craft paint, and I found that that works plenty fine, especially for terrain. Sorry I don't have a painting tutorial, but overall, if you take a look at any of my other terrain painting tutorials, I basically use the same method. For these two, I spray painted it with a dark brown as a base coat, and then for these, I spray painted black. And just by dry brushing and layering on top of that, that's a pretty quick paint job on all of these, and I think they turned out looking great. This week's video is pretty quick, so go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe if this video was helpful for you, and if you want to go ahead and pick them up, go ahead and use the link below again to go to my mini factory where you can get these individually for about $7. Happy printing, happy gaming, we'll see you next time.